3 weeks before the attack in Israel, Cristiano Ronaldo's team in Saudi Arabia, Al Nasser, published this video featuring the footballer and his teammates dressed as Mujahideen warriors performing a sword dance as in a declaration of war on the West. 2 days prior, in the MTV Awards ceremony, Shakira danced holding knives in a way that mimics Shiva, the Hindu god of destruction. This war will be so big that it had to start by inducing a national trauma. How big of a trauma, you ask? Let's review the events. The morning of the attack, terrorists infiltrated military bases in Israel's side of the border with Gaza and slaughtered soldiers in their sleep. Next, thousands of missiles were shot to the area surrounding Gaza, while hundreds of armed men invaded from Gaza through the world's most secured border, and then butchered, raped, and kidnapped Israeli citizens and soldiers. In one of the most shameless mocking rituals I have ever seen, an Israeli news channel broadcast live calls from people who locked themselves in their houses and asked them to describe what happens while terrorists try to break into their home, all that while they beg for the military to come and help.
חטפו את אבא שלי. כי ראיתי תמונה בטלגרם מחדשות עזתים של תמונה שלו בעזה. מעולה בממ"ד, כל הזמן שומעים פה יריות. כן, יש פה כל הזמן צרורות ומנסים לדפוק על הדלת ואף אחד לא עושה כלום. אנחנו כבר 4 שעות שוכבים פה בשקט בלי שום פתרון.
בת כמה את אלה? בת כמה את אלה? בטוחה? אנחנו מביאים את הקול שלך החוצה.
The army waited 12 hours until reacting to the situation, even though it was enough time to understand what is going on, and send units from the other end of the country. Weeks before this attack, soldiers and citizens were stripped out of their weapons by the military under the explanation that they were exposed to theft. From reviewing the events, it looks like terrorists were not only allowed to enter by Israeli authorities, some might even say they were welcomed with open arms. To me, it appears to be the beginning of the big war, the one that will be won by the son of Yosef. I can now say that the second horse of the apocalypse has arrived. But before I get to that, let's go over question marks that are still unanswered. Like how shortly before a festival was about to take place, it was relocated to a few kilometers from the border. Partygoers were attacked and kidnapped while they are under influence of drugs. Entire villages were taken over and citizens called the police begging for someone to come, but still the military needed half a day before it finally interfered. I heard a lot of worried voices that a genocide is about to happen in Gaza, and to justify an attack that destroys Gaza, the world will have to witness cruelty so sick that no one will want this group of people to exist any longer. And this includes their supposed allies. I know it's a common opinion in conspiracy circles to question everything and call videos fake, and I've seen some Holocaust deniers that refuse to believe that Palestinians are able to act like that. So I'm here to remind you that the best way to predict someone's behavior is to see how they acted in the past. Acts like the one of Samir Kuntar, a Lebanese terrorist who was recruited by a Palestinian organization and bashed a 4-year-old girl's skull against a rock not before he shot her dead in front of her eyes. Or the Ramallah lynch, where hundreds of Palestinians ripped the organs of 2 reserved soldiers who made the wrong turn on their way home. But nothing compares to the people of Gaza. These people will party in the street because they get to have rapists and murderers come back from the Israeli prison. And Gaza is a place full of this type of guys. So the Israeli authorities use them to sacrifice their own people. And they didn't have to do much. Just open the border and let these Palestinians from Gaza do what they do best. Most of the leftists you will meet will excuse anything Palestinians do by using the magic word, occupation. So let's get this straight once and for all. Nobody wants this piece of land, not Egypt and not Jordan. And like I just showed you, there's a good reason why no one wants them. They used poverty to justify the worst of behaviors. But I don't remember any blacks from the hood celebrating one of their own successfully kidnapping an old woman in a wheelchair. And when was the last time homeless war veterans crashed a party and shot everyone in it? Only a Palestinian would be proud of abducting old demented women, or partying in the street because of the release of the most violent garbage humanity has to offer. The architects of this war knew exactly what they were doing because the war in Israel will spread everywhere. Protests take place all over the world, and I know some of you watching this thinking you're not part of it. And I get it, you didn't ask for this conflict to show up at your doorstep. But just know one thing.
Not making a decision is a big decision.
Foreign military forces join the fight, and America always gets what it's paying for. Like in the corona, this crisis will be used to integrate new security measures. First, martial law that will automate its way to become the social credit beast system. But everything I said so far you could have learned from other sources, and that's not the point of my videos. So here's what nobody else will tell you. Gaza was one of 5 cities that belonged to the Philistines. The name Philistines is pronounced Plishtim originally. Palestinians adopted the name that Romans gave the land and claim it is theirs, even though the origin of their name means invaders. The leaders of the Romans, who were the fish hat, named this land after pagans who worshipped the fish god. The majority of Palestinians are located in the exact location where Dagon's temples were located, and human sacrifices were celebrated around the city. They claim to worship the God of the Bible, who they call Allah, but this God doesn't accept human sacrifices. And with all the death in this area, who do you think will accept all these offerings? Is everyone that stupid?
For this is the end. I've drowned and dreamed this moment.
Gaza will be abandoned, and Ashkelon left in ruins. At midday, Ashdod will be emptied, and Ekron uprooted. This might be the time for the prophecy from Zephaniah to come true, the beginning of the biggest war the world has seen. Some religious people believe this coming war to be the prophecy of Gog and Magog, but what most are missing is that we should expect 2 major wars in the end times. We are still in the beginning, and if the 3.5 years since the corona began until this war started are any indication, it might be that each one of the horses will last 18 months. This war ends in April 2027 with Israel's side victorious under the leadership of the son of Joseph. And if we live to see that day, we will be in a world surrounded by human-animal hybrids, oppressed by humanoid species that did not reveal themselves to us yet. The 3rd and 4th horses, famine and death, will last 3.5 years each according to this theory. So Gog and Magog, or Armageddon, should take place in April of 2034. Now that we witnessed the arrival of the second horse of the apocalypse, Gaza is about to be emptied like in the prophecy of Zephaniah. Then the world will turn on Jews, and the trees and stones, which are actually 5G antennas, will report them to the authorities as told by Islamic tales. As punishment, the rest of the world who stood by and allowed it to happen gets to be tortured in ways that will make it pray for death. But tech developments will make people unable to commit suicide. That's the 4th and final horse.